Hey there, playing with my faces while I waited for the video to start. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting my journey as I transitioned from the brick and mortar world to the online world of business over the last couple of years. Sharing what's working, what's not, and what I've done that's worked out really, really well, what I would never recommend anybody do, what I will never do again, things like that. If you have any questions about that, please just direct message me. You can direct message me right on this post, right on this video if you're catching me on Facebook. Otherwise, you have to find me, of course, through other means, through social media or direct messaging on other platforms. But if you're watching me, you're probably wise enough to figure that out. My 6-year-old granddaughter can figure out how to message me and find me on social media, and she's not particularly computer or tech savvy, so I'm sure that you could figure it out as well. So what I want to talk about today, learning a bunch of things, doing a training that I'm trying out in some of my videos, and it's clunky and uncomfortable, but I want to try some of the different techniques and strategies I'm learning about being a better communicator in the other videos that I do every day. I'm not sure I'll try many here, maybe down the road, but for right now, not. I'm just learning them and applying them in my other videos. For example, the daily, our annual challenge this year is to do one thing every day that centers us. And in that, it was talking about ideas today. So I don't think I really used any of the strategies that I'm learning in that particular video. It's like usually 1 to 2 minutes max. So it's a short, quick and dirty thing. I think I will try to add some things in terms of framing how and what and why I do that particular challenge. But I haven't done that yet. Today's was about ideas, which I got a kick out of because I think the older I get, the more ideas I lose. And it was about, you know, the question isn't where ideas come from, but where the heck do they go? Because all of us have, you know, millions and millions of ideas in our lifetime, but how many of them do we actually act upon or implement or do something about, right? Very few. Why? Because we lose them. Where do we lose them? They just kind of flip back. They come in from the universe and they flip back out into the universe. At least that's how it feels for me. I've learned a long, long time ago, if I have an idea or something strikes my fancy and I don't write it down immediately, forget about it, because there's so many things being thrown at us all the time. It's really difficult to pay attention to the ideas that we want to implement, that we want to move forward on, unless we find a way to capture or document them. Part of why I do this particular video every day is to document my journey. What am I doing? What's working? What's not? I would say that improving my communication, improving my confidence, 2 areas that I'm working on this year with coaches, are important. And whether I feel like they're working every day or not, I guarantee that at the end of the year, the culmination of those activities will make me better, a better human being, a better person, a better communicator, a better presenter, and help me to achieve my goals of what it is that I want to accomplish while I'm here on the planet. Because I think those are foundational skills that everybody needs, and we need to be continually improving on them for our entire life. One of the areas I've always thought that I need massive improvement on is listening. Listening has always been a challenge for me. Seems to be a challenge in my family. If you ever go to one of our family gatherings, it's like everybody's talking all the time and nobody's really listening. So it's like everybody's really just talking at other people, to themselves, and over each other and finishing each other's sentences. And it's really frustrating for people that have come into the family, because they're like, what's going on here? My family's not like this. Have you ever had that experience where you go into, you meet your significant other's family and you're like, oh my God, they're just the opposite of you, and they're very different than your significant other, and you wonder how the heck this person came from this family. But sometimes if you just sit back and watch and observe and pay attention and notice what's going on around you, you learn a lot about what makes your partner or your significant other tick, because you realize the environment that they've been raised in, the ideas and the beliefs that they've been exposed to, and why they do and say and act the way they do sometimes. At least I found that really, really valuable. A lot more valuable than trying to ask myself why my spouse did the things that he did, because sometimes I just didn't understand. So, ideas, where do they come from? Where do they go? I thought that was a really good one for our annual challenge to do one thing every day that centers us. All about me, all about you challenge this year. We're a little over halfway through. Actually, today was day 203, so we're booking on through that. It's really interesting. It always feels like it goes so slowly when we first start the challenge, and then all of a sudden seems like for some reason when we hit day 200 for me, something clicks and I realize, oh my gosh, we're over halfway through and we're on the downward spiral, or on the upward spiral to finishing. Because if the goal and the result is to improve an area of our life over the course of a year by doing one little thing every day, by the time we're halfway through, I always get that sense of we're making progress, we're gaining momentum, even if it hasn't felt like it, I know that there's positive changes in my life as a result of doing this. How do I know that? Because I've done it 4 times before, and a lot more than 4 times before, but just 4 times in this format, and it's made massive changes in my life. So ideas were our topic for that challenge today. Our supersize your business idiom today was cut to the chase. And it's really funny. I went to introduce it and I said something else, and I'm like, and then I quickly tried to tweak in cut to the chase because I said the wrong idiom as part of the introduction sentence. And I'm like, okay, just goes to show you that thousands of videos in, we still make mistakes, right? We're human. That's why I like live video, because you can screw stuff up, you can make mistakes, but you're just being yourself. And that's all the world wants us to be. We just need to be who we really are. And as human beings, guess what? We make mistakes. We say things wrong. We trip over our tongue. We sneeze. We have a cloggy throat. All kinds of things happen. But the platform and the framework makes it okay because it's live. It's just you being you wherever you happen to be making your videos. Me, I hang out with all my stuffed animals. Why? Because I wanted an interesting, creative, funny, fun backdrop. Why? Because I want more fun in my life. I did a whole year challenge to create more fun in my life. This year, all about getting to know ourselves better. So cut to the chase was our idiom today, and I did practice a couple of the things that I've learned in this training during that video. And it was, I'm not gonna lie, super uncomfortable, felt very clunky, very awkward, and I think it's like whenever we learn or do something new, it feels really clunky and really awkward. Now I'll see how it goes over with the people that watch that video and with that particular group of individuals that I serve. And if they say, what the heck, this is the worst video we've ever seen, or if it has nobody watches or it gets a lot of negative feedback, then I'll say, okay, maybe I need to practice this a lot more or find different ways of incorporating the things that I'm learning into different aspects of what I'm already doing. Some of the things I'm learning, a lot of the things positively that I'm learning are things that I have figured out along the way and I just do naturally because they are who I am. And that makes it a whole lot easier. And what I like about this particular training most is that it's about you being who you really are and showing up and sharing parts of you that you didn't ever think would even be important or anyone would ever care about, but they're the most important ways to connect and for people to relate to you. I'm sure when people hear about my background, and it was really interesting because yesterday's training was about how we divorce ourselves from our previous experience, especially when we're doing something new. And it's funny because I knew I was doing it, but I really realized it in this training, because when I went from the offline world to the online world, when I went from corporate America to focusing solely on my own businesses, it was this huge push against my past. I didn't want to use, we always automatically use our past experiences, but I just want to separate myself from that corporate life, separate myself from the offline business life, and basically start over and not realize that part of why I can move faster in certain areas is because I've got that 47 years of experience in businesses. I've got that, 25 plus years of corporate experience. Those things that I learned in those environments make it much easier and faster for me to do things in the position that I'm in right now than somebody who is literally just starting out. Yet we have this natural human tendency to push against and say, I was a quality manager for 25 years plus, and a quality director and vice president and all that jazz in corporate America, working for actually some of the most fantastic, coolest companies on the planet that people would be like, oh my God, I would have loved to work for Procter & Gamble. I would have loved to work for Knight Ridder. I would have loved to work for, some of the other companies that I worked for, and have that experience and that inside working knowledge of an organization that big. I think when I worked for P&G, they had like 85,000 employees. That was when they were just a baby company, before they bought Gillette and all the other things that they've done. So But that's where I got my start. I got my start in this incredible foundation of great training and development for employees, and a love for learning and continuous improvement. I would say I always had a thirst and a love for learning, but my drive to always be better actually came from, in part, the trainings and the things that I was exposed to in my first job in corporate America. I was always doing things on the side, but to figure out how to really systematize and make processes about things and make things automatic and repetitive and get the results that you want, all that came from my first job and work experience. Yep, studied it in college, but actually applied and implemented the things that I learned in Procter & Gamble, the work environment, and then grew from there. And that experience, there's not that many, okay, if there's 85,000 or how many 100,000 people or how many that have worked for Procter & Gamble, but did they have the same experience as I did? Did they get to work with engineering? Did they get to work with all the different departments and divisions? Did they get to travel around the country to interact with different levels and different people in different departments and divisions and organizations of the company? Probably not. So when we try to separate ourselves from all that cool experience that we've had, we forget that that's what makes us, and that's what helps us to have the skills and abilities that make us successful now. So that was one of the biggest lessons learned for me yesterday is, okay, stop forgetting about all the cool things that you are, that other people might actually be interested in, that you might not ever think that they would be interested in, and start talking about those things. So I need to start looking for those things, paying attention to them, noticing where I could share something from my past that really doesn't seem applicable to what I'm talking about, but is absolutely 100% totally a great example or a metaphor that other people can relate to, that they might not have had the same experiences that I've had, but they can relate to the metaphor or the lesson learned from the particular experience. So really cool training. I'm really enjoying it. I'm sure I will talk about it more in the future because that's what I do. I learn something and then I share it. I learn something and then I share it. Why? Because if we teach somebody something that we've learned, not only does that mean we actually get it and we understand it and it's a part of us, but it helps other people to learn and to spread the word. It's like, sometimes I think about, why don't we, when we're born and we hit like a certain age, get all these life lessons and universal laws and wisdom and things shared with us somehow? Instead, we get public education or private education in some instances, but we get indoctrinated into whatever culture we're born into. And there's good and bad in everything, right? So there's good things about that, and there's bad things about that we don't even know are bad till we're old enough to make the decisions and choices for ourselves of what fits for us and what doesn't. So, cut to the chase, which I just didn't do, was the idiom for today. And it's a good one, but then I said, okay, here are 3 ways that you can use this idiom, this expression, to supersize and grow your business, because that's the whole point of the exercise. And why do I do that? I think I need to have a video where I share what that is and why I do that, because I don't think that the way my brain works is necessarily the way other people's brain works, and they watch it and they're like, well, why would you be talking about idioms anyway in a business page, on a business site? And I look at it as sharpening the saw, or why people do improv. It's so they can go and they can become better communicators because they can talk about anything. And I do the same thing, but with an idiom that can be applied to business. And my improv and my exercise is I pick the idiom, and then I have to ask myself, and then I research, what does it mean? Where does it come from? And then I have to figure out, how could I use this to grow and supersize my business? And I do that for my business, but then I also say, well, how could people use it for another type of business? And that's what I share. Why do I do that? Because it's my way of continually improving and moving toward always being on the cutting edge, the leading edge of what works best to supersize and grow our businesses, because that's what I want to do with my business all the time. All right, that's enough pontificating. I've got a bunch of aunts and uncles in town for the rest of the week, and my mom's sisters and their spouses, the ones that have spouses, are in town, and it's always a great time to get together with my family and my mom's family. They are some of the kindest, most amazing, most diverse, interesting people in the whole wide world, and I love to spend time with them. So I'm going to do that. My granddaughter's off today getting her eyes checked, and I was really excited about that because I remember the first time I got my eyes checked, I was 11, and I found out that the way I saw the world, and maybe this is one of the earliest times that I realized that I looked at the world and saw the world differently than other people. I went to the eye doctor. I tried on these glasses and things, ended up needing glasses pretty badly. I had pretty bad nearsightedness, and I remember putting my glasses on for the first time and looking around outside on the drive home and realizing how much I had been missing, because I physically didn't even see it. I couldn't even see it with my natural poor vision. But once I got glasses, there were leaves on trees, there were birds flying around, there were clouds in the sky, all things that I was missing because I had poor vision. So I'm really excited that she's going at 6, just to get her eyes checked, probably past 20/20 vision, but to make sure. I mean, her mom and her dad both wear glasses, so get it checked, because I could have saved myself a whole lot of struggles in school if I had known that I had bad eyes. Anyway, I digress. Have an absolutely amazing day. If I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow to let you know what I'm doing as I transition from the brick and mortar world to the corporate world to the online world, and back and forth and back and forth. Have a great day.